something completely different.
Good afternoon. I'm speaking to you live just outside.
I like to think balding is just God's way of saying, now let's see you get laid.
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
What I'd really like to do is put the greatness of this man in perspective.
The hair loss community has a lot to be thankful for, having you as a spokesperson.
You mean you just call this guy up?
About life and about reality.
And now, America's #1 reality radio show for men. Live from Los Angeles, it's Spencer Copeland's The Bald Truth.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the Friday edition, which is the only edition weekly of The Bald Truth. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I want to thank Joe Tillman for having it all together this week. It was actually me who was a few minutes late. Not really late, but had to get everything together on my end to make sure that we're streaming on GFQ, make sure that we're streaming on The Bald Truth. And if we're streaming through GFQ, that means we are on iTunes Radio and Stitcher Radio and all of the other audio podcasting streaming services that the show should be on. So I want to welcome everybody. The phone number is 888. There were more, but we're going to get back there. The phone number, 888-659-3727. That's 888-659-3727. All right, I will start the show with a little story. Some inside baseball.
We like stories.
I think it's important.
We like stories.
And, you know, I think sometimes the physicians in this field think that I go off on these tangents just because. But the reality is, the reason I speak about these things is because I think it is critical that consumers understand why this is such a shitty industry and why it's so dangerous. And while the narrative that is out there is that it's everyone else's fault that it's dangerous. It's these people who are just coming into the field without any knowledge of the field, who are just trying to make money, who may not be physicians or may be physicians who are hiring people who are not physicians, and it's about a black mark and all that happy horse shit. But the reality is, and I said that twice, the reason why the field is the way that it is, the reason why consumers are in such danger, and that danger is growing exponentially, is because of sheer, in my view, apathy on the part of those who claim to be leaders of this field. I was speaking to one of the former presidents of the now the Aesthetic Society, used to be ASAPS, who is also a fan of what we do and also provided a talk for the Global Hair Loss Summit. He was discussing with me, and this was a great phone call. It was like a 2-hour phone call. He was discussing a newsletter that he received from the so-called authority as far as organizations in this field. And I'm not going to discuss all the particulars of the newsletter because it is sad, actually, that I received several calls, but this was very telling. But the one thing that
was Sally Struthers on the cover?
Close. Now, I don't want to get into the business of another organization. I don't want to get into their, whether they are solvent or anything of that nature. But what I do think is important is that this physician said to me, he cannot believe. Now, you have to understand, this is a guy that's run campaigns in the past, with organizations that, he's a big guy. He's a board-certified plastic surgeon involved in all the major plastic surgery organizations. Understands how things need to be run and how things shouldn't be run.
Big leagues.
Yeah. He thought that the Fight the Fight campaign was just over, that it obviously fell on his face and it was over. So he's talking to me about how this organization claims that it's not solvent, yet they are going to continue to spend money on what he considers a feckless, useless, backwards campaign that this guy actually said, his exact words were, he is embarrassed to be associated with this organization on several levels, but based on this campaign, and that is damaging people. He also asked me a very interesting question. Currently, there's a leader of the ABHRS, another organization that's associated loosely with the ISHRS. I just mentioned both organizations, whatever. So, yeah. So he said, I was going over the Global Hair Loss Summit founding faculty, and I noticed that this current president of this organization was originally on the website and now is no longer on the website. And I was looking for his talk, and it's not there. And he asked me about that. And I told him, well, this guy was excited, but he was, I'm not going to say coerced, but it was suggested to him that he not be a part of what we do because this particular organization felt that it was competition. And, this guy said something that was very poignant, I felt. He said, what a lot of these selfish sheep, in a sense, he didn't use the word sheep, I forgot what he said, followers don't understand is that what they do matters. And that just him being part of GHLS could have changed the trajectory of a consumer's life or a patient's life. Showing that he supported this truth and what we're doing could have changed people's lives, as opposed to him just saying, you know what, my buddies don't want me to be a part of this. And, thanks but no thanks. Sorry for the inconvenience. Now, I thought I was one of the few people who thought this way, but this came from a doctor. That's what was surprising to me. Sorry, all the doctors are listening.
Well, what's surprising to me is that he was digging into the faculty to see, like he was recognizing people in the faculty and thought, oh, I want to see what he's got to say.
Yeah.
And then it stuck in his brain hard enough to where he thought to ask you about it. I think that's interesting.
Well, I think one of the reasons is that this guy is well known in the field. He has edited and authored several books. He's out there giving courses and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But the reality is, are these courses being given for the betterment of the field and for patients, or is it is all that work just being done to, create a sense of authority in this space?
Yeah.
And I happen to like this person, but I thought that was a very interesting thing. And I think it's important that consumers understand that, a lot of your lives, the reason why things are happening, the reason why you see all these ads on, social media and all the nonsense is being perpetuated with, the cosmetic surgery tourism and people being harmed, is because these people are ignoring the big picture, just essentially thinking of the small issues of saving their own asses in this field. And in my view, give a shit about any of you.
I don't think they're ignoring the bigger issue. I don't think that they're aware of bigger issues. I think that their own environment has very strong walls that prevents them from seeing what's actually going on in their own industry. And that's one of the issues. Like, I was working on this campaign that he was asking about, and that was one of the challenges that I recognized. I mean, we've both been critical, and we've talked about this in the past, but that is one of the if not the biggest overall issue that we've seen with such an organization, where the path that they think is important is not even remotely related to what the world sees and how the world thinks about this industry, and that's blinding them to the reality of their own industry. And I think it's sad, because the potential for good is being wasted on short-sightedness. Can you say greed? Maybe greed, but I think selfishness more than anything. And just, for everyone listening, understand that we talk about this kind of stuff because it's not just consumers and patients that are listening in on this. There are a lot of medical professionals that tune in to also kind of get a pulse on what you guys are thinking and saying, especially when you call in, you chat in the chat room. So that's why we talk about this stuff, because when we talk about this stuff, people that can actually help to facilitate change are listening, and hopefully we can put some bugs in their ears to where they start to see and realize things that would be things that they could do that would be better for the industry.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Whatever you just said. This thing on?
What's this?
Yeah, I'm actually just reading the chat. Yeah, it's a system, guys. That's exactly what it is. This paint job and bald spot is I'm wearing a system. Fucking people. Not that it would be anything wrong with that. It might make life a little easier, actually.
Rob says that my mic is loud. Is my mic loud?
I turned it down a little bit.
Okay. Hair's looking good, man.
What did you say?
Your hair's looking good. I just saw on the playback.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. No, it's a system. 888-659-3727 is the toll-free number. Yeah, so I mean, that's the reality of this field, and people look at things as they're getting their information. They're going to it really blindly. I see what's happening on Reddit and on YouTube, and I read all this stuff, and I'm just like, God damn it! It's like there's so much misinformation out there, and even the doctors who know better, they're unwilling to actually help. So hopefully more people will find this program and will be able to get the information out there. Let's take a phone call. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Morty from Brooklyn.
Morty, what's happening, man?
Morty, you sound down, man.
I'm glad you picked up. It's been kind of a rough week, man. I think I've told you guys that I've been kind of remote romancing this young lady from down in South America. Well, she dropped me this week, and she just got tired of waiting for this COVID thing to blow over, and she just basically said, that's not going to work. So I'm kind of dealing with some serious heartache, and I figured I'd talk to my two internet buddies. I know that it's been a little while since we've talked about girl trouble, but I know that you guys are always a sympathetic ear. And whenever these types of things happen, they make the other issues in one's life, they bring them into sharper focus.
Listen, Morty, do you mind if we call you back? Just kidding.
Dude, thank you. I needed to laugh. Oh God. Yeah, man.
Jesus.
All right, so tell me about this. So you were courting a person in South America.
Yeah.
Online.
Yeah, over the internet. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, I need you to know this, and. I'm not saying that you're naive, or we all want to be loved.
You can say that. That's cool.
But the reality is, for as many people as for as often as you guys were communicating, she was probably communicating with 20 other guys.
Yeah, I could see that.
And the reality is, you should go and you should check out the show 90 Day Fiancé. Mm-hmm. And there's some other shows, and just see what these people do and how they get fucking conned and ripped off and misled by women in South America or in Asia or in different parts of the world. And that's they're looking for suckers like us. Old, sad, pathetic, broken down suckers like us.
Damn, bro. Throwing me.
Thanks for calling. Bye-bye.
Broken down and sad? Is that what you say, dude? Oh, my God, dude.
Morty, I got to tell you, look, did you meet this woman in person? Like you spent time with her?
That was the whole thing, dude. I was literally planning on flying down there until all this fucking COVID shit happened, man. And this
so the answer is no.
From there, I lived there. Yes, the answer is absolutely not. I had never actually, we'd never actually met in the flesh.
Okay.
All right. So how long?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about it. I mean, I'm a little distracted. Sorry, someone's typing me. But
That's all right.
Does it?
It's all good.
How long were you communicating with this person, and how did you meet this person?
I met her online, and we've been talking on and off, I guess, probably for at least 2 years. I was very cautious in the beginning, and until I got to know her, like I said, after well over a year, that I finally was, like I said, making the arrangements. And then like at first I was like, when I was in Florida, I was thinking it could just be a lot easier to go from there in the year. And then, life got in the way and I had to come back to New York. And so that kind of put the kibosh in terms of the move. And then right after the move, of course, we had COVID. So that, that kind of put the kibosh on that. But we've been communicating fairly regularly. I mean, I spoke to her practically every day.
Did you ever send her any money?
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna be embarrassed and say yes, I have.
Okay.
But I met her parents and everything. I mean, we Skyped with her parents, and they seemed to like me. And
I'm sure they loved you. I'm sure they loved you, and they're like, there you go. This guy's going to help pay our fucking bills. This has nothing to do with you. You have to understand this, Morty. This has nothing to do with you being less than or it's just this is the mentality of these people. And that's, we are American suckers, and that's it. And you're just one of them. And I can guarantee that however much you gave her, 20 other guys gave her the same amount or more.
Yeah, you're probably not wrong about that.
And I'm sorry, it really.
She probably had a spreadsheet with a schedule for video consultations for her parents to talk to each guy that she's been talking to justify the same thing that you're doing. I mean, look, here's the thing about this kind of situation. You and how many thousands of others, right? There's nothing unique about your you being dumped like this because, and I'm not saying she's done it to so many other guys. I'm just saying that so many other women have done it to so many other guys in the exact same situation where, I just realized it's like, so you said that because of COVID you haven't been down there, but you've been talking to her for 2 years. Yeah. COVID's only been around for a year, so what's changed?
Well, well, first of all, like I said, it took me about a year to get comfortable with the idea of going down there because I didn't trust the situation. That was the reason. It was all on me. She was the one wanting me to come down sooner, and I was holding back, at least initially.
Why couldn't she come up to see you?
Well, because she's a Colombian citizen, and it's damn near impossible to get a visa to come up here.
Oh. Okay. Well, I don't know about that, but all right. So, bottom line is, so many endpoints between there and New York, where you are, where there's so many different women. Mm-hmm. Like I know times of COVID make it more difficult, obviously, but you met this chick online, so. How many others? Mm-hmm. There's got to be some sort of local New York online hookup joint.
Dude, I'm not.
That you can jump into.
I can't get up, brush myself off, and start all over again. I'm not saying I can't do that. I'm calling you boys because I'm in pain. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, look,
I know.
man, and
I get
look,
it.
it sucks. I do get it. It's just, look, here's the thing about life. If you don't take a chance, you're always going to fail, right?
This is also true, yes.
Sometimes
I don't regret it for a second. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. So I mean, you had whatever you had, and you were able to garner that enjoyment for that period of time, and there's value to that. So I understand that, and but you just have in the end, just understand what it is. There's usually no happy ending in these situations.
Yup, I hear you, man. Anyway, just to change the subject a little bit, we are coming up on the 3rd month after having the injectable cocktail from Dr. Cole. And to be honest, and I don't know if it's just because of my own current mental state, but I am not terribly impressed with what I'm seeing. Obviously, this is not the fault of Dr. Cole. This is simply the way my body reacted to the treatment. And it was a very distinct possibility that would be the case. And I wanted to, before I reached out to him, I wanted to talk to you guys about what you thought about waiting a little bit longer, or possibly, starting to think about next steps.
I think at this point it's obvious you got to wait longer, because 3 months is
okay.
3 months is when I tell people to expect the first signs of life between month 3 and month 5. I look at this kind of I look at every treatment that's out there, whether it be medical, oral or topical, whether it be some sort of regenerative medicine, whether it be actual surgery. Every one of them, don't expect even the faintest of the first signs of life between month 3 and month 5, because we're talking about hair cycles here. We're talking about hair cycles, and it takes 3 to 5 months for one follicle to go from the beginning of telogen to visible anagen. 3 to 5 months being the variance from one patient to the next. So you're just now getting to the point where maybe you'll see some sort of improvement. And even then, if you were to start at 3 months, it'll take another few weeks just to see the first, signs of growth. Like once it breaks ground, if that makes sense.
No, it does. It does. I guess I was spoiled because of the initial reactions I got when I started on finasteride. For the callers who know it, I actually got some pretty nice results early on, and it gets I can only imagine if this had been a hair transplant, what it would be like in terms of feeling impatient or frustrated. So of course it doesn't help that your girl dumped you, but you know how that goes. Well, maybe you don't.
Kind of compounds, right? Kind of. Oh yeah, I mean,
exactly.
Everyone's been dumped.
Well, not everyone. I'm just kidding. Everyone.
I knew it.
Everyone.
I was going to take that one for myself, but I decided not to.
No, everyone has been dumped. I've been dumped in my life.
Yeah.
7th grade. Never forget that one. That was a big one.
All right.
No, but listen. All I can tell you is this. I'm going to repeat myself. You got to be patient with everything, right? You don't know what's going to happen. Like Joe just said. I mean, how long ago did you have the Cole thing?
It was just before Thanksgiving, so November. So November the 10th, I think it was. So December, it'd be most of November, most of December, most of January. Now we're into February, so we're coming up on February. Would be,
Okay, so what did you expect to happen by this point?
Honestly, I don't really know. I obviously I've tempered my expectations because of where I am. I was kind of hoping to notice something which would, something where I could look at a picture from, say, 3-4 months ago and compare it to today and actually be able to see that something was done. And it doesn't look any different.
Yeah, well, and part of it could be also that you lost a little ground because of the procedure itself. and it may take some time to reverse. Or I mean, you might not be anywhere. But the thing is, what else can you do at this stage, Morty? Honestly, I mean, you were for Micah Bald. You had some success where you saw visible changes. I mean, you can do the Chuck Norris like the guy in the room was saying, or
well, I mean,
go ahead.
Okay. See, here's the deal. The arrangement that I had with the good doctor was that we would try this first and see what happened, and then follow up with going under the knife and actually taking the plunge. And I've done all my homework. I've seen a number of doctors. I landed with Dr. Cole. I have tremendous respect for the man. He has assured me that he's going to be able to make me look better. We talked about hairline design already when I was down there in November. So he understands my expectations. So I mean, the only thing left to do at this point, and again, this is going by Dr. Cole's assessment. He said, I asked him, how long do you think I should wait? And he was a little more aggressive. He said, he basically said, what is it, 6 to 12 weeks is basically what he said. So, I'm thinking, okay, it's time for me to make the phone call and to make the appointment. But before I did, I wanted to talk to you guys because you don't stand to gain anything from me to take the plunge or not. And I wanted to make sure that, I was making a decision because I'm on the fence about it. I'll be honest with you. I think about the amount of pain I went through, just getting the stuff I had done already. And do I want to go through that? And also, you talk to different doctors and you hope and pray that they're being honest with you. And I have no reason to believe that Dr. Cole is being dishonest. I don't think he is. But I also know that, you're rolling the dice and it's a crapshoot and, it's the last resort. And it's
I don't think he's being dishonest.
It's the last resort. So
something going on with my camera. Yeah, I don't think I saw that. I don't think he's being dishonest. I think that, and as you stated, I just think that, and I think that he believes that he could probably improve your situation. And he probably can, but that level of improvement, I don't believe, based on everything that I've seen, your images, and also listening to you, I don't believe that level of improvement will benefit you. I don't think in the long run it's something that you're really going to feel was of true value, even if everything goes right.
Really?
I mean, what are you going to have? You're going to reinforce your hairline a little bit, and then there's always the possibility of complications. And even if you have no complications, you're going to end up wanting more surgery once you see that hair growing and say, you know what, maybe one more will do the trick. And then you put yourself at even greater risk. Joe?
There is that issue where once you have the first one, then it can potentially become this seemingly endless trip back and forth to Alpharetta just to get that fix, right? Just to get that extra bit. I think about your case, Morty, and I got to say that you've done everything right, and I congratulate you on that because you were ready to go under the knife early on, and right. you had some doctors in mind. You had your consultations, but you slowed down. You've taken the long road, and you've learned so much, not just about what your options are, but I think that you've learned to be a lot more realistic about what your options can give you. And all the non-surgical options, there's a little bit of a benefit here, a little bit of a benefit there. Maybe not quite so much benefit over here, but yeah, you're understanding, and you're trying everything first. I think that if you underwent surgery, I think that you would be really happy with the difference between what you've tried so far and what you could possibly, most likely, get with even one procedure. And I say this because I've dealt with so many guys that are, as Spencer says, Formica bald, where they just get the front half done or even the frontal third.
Mm-hmm.
And that alone is like the night and day difference that puts them over the top. They're like, Jesus, I got a hairline now. My face is framed.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go in for a second and maybe a third for a decreasing density light coverage over to the anterior mid-scalp and the vertex and maybe a little bit part of the crown before they tap things out. Looking like as dense as a dandelion, like not thick at all. But they're happy. And does it look like a comb over? Sure. But they're happy with it.
How dare you?
Will you be happy with that? I don't know. I have no idea. But I can say that compared to what you've been through before, it'll be awesome. But will it be awesome enough? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I appreciate your candor, and I before I made this call, I went over the email exchange that you and I had done, when we first initially started to communicate, and your initial prognosis was that that there was enough there that I could do, it would make a difference in terms of my appearance. And there are doctors who said that they could. I mean, Dr. Epstein said that he could help to make a difference. Dr. Charles did. Dr. Dorn said no. I forget whether it was Zula who basically looked at my pictures and he said no. So it's kind of all over the place. And so obviously we want to make sure that I want to make sure that. I understand. Look, doctors, they need to make money, and they need they need to pay their bills, and they're on the margin. They're going to want to help you because it's their business. Not to disparage doctors at all. I think that the doctors that I've spoken about. I mean, they're all IHS members. They're professionals. They've been at this for upwards of 10, 15, 20 years. Some of them, But at the same time, it's my head. And getting it done would be my experience, and it's going to be my pain that I'm going to have to go through, and whatever.
You have to live with the result. They don't.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just going to tell you that based on knowing you for how many years have you been calling the program?
It's going on 3 now.
A lot.
Yeah. I would say that you've avoided for this long. Don't do it, man. I do not believe, no matter how great the surgeon is, even though he probably believes that he can help you to a degree, it will not be to the degree that I think, based on all of our conversations, that you would be satisfied. And you've lived all these years significantly bald.
Man. Oh, I know. It's this, you know what it is, Spence? It's being shut up in this fucking house, in this fucking crazy town, in this fucking situation, man.
Yeah, and you know what? It's not atypical. A lot of people are thinking of cosmetic. I mean, thousands and thousands of people are thinking of different cosmetic procedures, including hair transplant surgery. It's something that's being written about in all the all the cosmetic surgery journals. There's a phenomenon going on. Botox is way up, and fillers, and hair transplant surgery, where all the guys in the field and women were panicked over, what are people going to do? They're not going to have disposable income to have surgery, but they have lines out the door because people actually have a little bit more disposable income, especially if they were able to work from home and they're not going out drinking and eating and going to restaurants and things of that nature. And they're watching themselves. It's called the Zoom effect, which is ridiculous. But they're watching themselves on Zoom and other applications, and they're seeing themselves all the time, and they don't like what they see because they're not used to seeing themselves in that context.
True.
We're definitely used to seeing ourselves in this context, and we're not doing anything about it that you know of. But other people are.
I mean, besides my new hair system, I did nothing.
By the way, when you showed the back of your head, Spence, it did look pretty good. So whatever you're doing, man, keep doing it.
Yeah, it's funny because I did get my hair cut short yesterday. So it does take less Dermatch when the hair is short. There's no doubt about that. If he cuts it right and doesn't cut the flap off, and that's why I've been going to Shanghai for 15 years, then I really can use a lot less makeup.
Doesn't cut the flap off. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, if I go to like one of these young barbers, like I once went to Common Law's place in Beverly Hills. Really great, and this person took a lot of time with me. By the way, this guy did a great job, but I was really concerned about that, and I had to explain, don't cut that flap off because then I'll be bald. And he totally got it. But if you just let them do their own thing, they want to give you like this young hip haircut. I can't have that. So, but thank you, Morty. I appreciate the compliment, the kind words.
Well, dude, you guys have been there for me, and it's the least I can do is to just reiterate what I'm seeing. And you look good, my man.
Dude, you're a good guy, and you know what? The reason I'm not telling, I'm not saying that I would tell anyone else to go for it, but I could just tell based on your personality, and that you wouldn't be happy, even if it gave you 10% more confidence. I don't think that it would, because I think you'd be a little bit underwhelmed, and you would definitely want to go for that second procedure. And every time you take that chance, you put yourself in harm's way that you don't need to. Now, I'm not saying that you don't need it. I'm not saying that emotionally that you wouldn't feel better with more hair, because everyone would. But I just think the risk might be too great for you. And I think Joe may agree. But I'm not a doctor. What the fuck do I know?
No, dude, it comes from the heart when you say it, Spencer, and so I take it to heart when you say it. Believe me.
I think that if you were to do it, you would be happy like for the first year and a half. You'd recognize it'd be nice if there was more. But I think that your enthusiasm would wane over time, and you might even come. I wouldn't say that's just natural for everyone, right? But I think that it would get to the point for you where you might even question, why'd I even go through with this? If I have to do this, or if I have to do that, or whatever. But I honestly think the next step for you is not like, if you're to continue down this path, it's not surgery. It's to find a good quality hair system. Like, not one of these ones that we laugh about on. Yeah, no, I know that, but I'm reiterating, like, not one of these things that we laughed at on 70s sitcoms. I'm talking a quality system.
Like mine.
High hairline, moderate density, like Spencer, right? Something not quite as see-through.
Yeah, you don't quite see it through as mine.
Not one where you have to use a system and Dermatch.
Yeah, Jesus.
And Topic. Like, that's kind of a waste. But
Jesus Christ. I got to tell you, man. I mean, all of these various processes, whether you're talking about quartering pills or spraying stuff in my hair, or now, ever since the cocktail, the advice is to derma roll once a week, and that's also another fun experience. That's the other part of it. I'm like, okay, how many times do I have to make holes in my head every Tuesday? It's
well, listen. I've been doing this for 23 years, and I've known people who started to derma roll. I remember when it was first introduced to me by Joe Greco, probably about 12, 15, maybe 14 years ago, and I'm like, I'm not going to do this. Maybe it'll help a little bit, but I'm not going to do it. I have never known anyone who's done it on the long term, meaning that they got good results, and they continued doing it for like a decade. It just doesn't happen. And the results can be, I'd say they're minimal at best on average if something does happen. I have seen some significant results that they were using other agents with derma rolling. But if it's not something that you're going to be compliant with, and it's not something that's going to actually change your appearance significantly, then I don't see the value in it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm just going by doctor's orders. So he said, do this, after the cocktail, do the dermal rolling, which I'm going to do. So
Yeah.
what I am going to do is I'm going to make a follow phone call with Dr. Cole. But I wanted to talk to you guys first because I wanted to make sure that I had my head on straight, and I was going to make whatever decisions I was going to make. I was going to basically do them fully fully confident in whatever decisions I'm going to make. I don't want to be, convinced into moving more quickly than I need to or whatever.
You just got dumped by a Latinx mail order bride. Is that what they are now? Latinx?
Yep.
Is it? Okay.
Latinx. Oh, please. Nobody freaking uses that term. It's such bullshit.
I don't even understand it, but I figured I'd make believe that I'm hip.
We could talk,
Shame on you, Spencer. No one uses that term anymore.
Yeah, man.
Jesus.
Well,
Boomer.
the thing is that Latina and Latino imply gender, so they use the term Latinx to avoid being, gender specific or to deal with transgender people of Latin descent.
Now let me ask you. So you speak Spanish fluently, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Do you know how? I mean, you live in New York City. I know it's hard to meet people in general, but I mean, you have choices of just go to Jackson Heights, man. When the restaurants are open. I mean, there's so many beautiful Latin women who would love.
Oh, I know. Believe me.
Who would love to be with a guy like you, who has a little older, has some success under his belt, a little money in their pockets. I mean, this is what Latinas. They are more. They gravitate towards more of the. Let's just say. I don't want to say it's not genetic. What's the word I'm looking for?
More the traditional.
Traditional, right? More the traditional, and so sometimes they are willing to. They're not that concerned about it. Someone being 10 or 15 years older than them. They want to make sure that they have someone who's going to help them in their lives, and they're attracted to success and the ability to earn and to make a living. And there's different degrees of that. And if you speak the language fluently, then you win. So I'm a believer of meeting someone in person and getting that vibe, even if it's more difficult and even if there's a greater chance of immediate rejection. That's the route that you should probably take.
Oh, believe me, I tell you something. When I came back to New York, that was my goal. I started going out and hanging with my old friends, and then everything frickin' shut down. I mean, the whole idea of going out and meeting people is, it's. I don't have to tell you. You're in LA. You know what I'm talking about. So. But anyway.
I can't go out anywhere. I mean, I can now. Supposedly, all of a sudden, the pandemic is not quite as bad. And they're doing outdoor stuff, but
Oh, that's good.
Well, I'm not doing it. Are you kidding me, man? I'm 55 years. I'm going to be 56 years old. I am.
You're high risk. Yeah.
I'm high risk, man.
You want to know something really fucked up? The guy working in the freaking bodega and the guy who delivers my food can get a vaccine before I can, because they're considered essential.
Well, why don't you get a job in a bodega?
You know what? I'm seriously considering this.
Yeah. I mean, why not just get a job where you could become essential for a couple of months, get your shots, and quit?
You know what? You're not the first person to tell me that.
Yeah. Or why don't you drive back down to Florida?
Yeah, well, that's a number of people, including somebody on the chat here, is basically saying I should go back. Believe me, the thought had crossed my mind. Anyway, I don't want to keep you. I'm sure you've got other callers.
We do actually, Morty.
Yeah.
But you just got dumped by your mail order bride. So how can I cut you off?
I appreciate that.
We had to listen to you, man. We had to give you some airtime. We want to hear this stuff. We want to help out. So
listen, and first of all, I just want to tell you honestly, it sucks. I'm sorry that you went through that. It
does.
But you know what?
Yeah.
It could happen again. Think about the joy and the fun and the excitement that you had picking up that phone or doing your Skype all those months or whatever it was. Living with those blinders on, because sometimes we have to live in those blinders with those blinders on. That's how we get through fucking life. I do it all the time. Trust me, I'm living on fantasy. All right, dude. Take it easy, all right?
All right, guys.
Okay,
Have
bye-bye.
a pleasant evening, and we'll chat again next week.
All right,
Take care.
absolutely. Take care.
All right, buddy. Take care.
It's funny, people want to know how he always gets in, because our lines are full. Actually, now there's one line open, so if someone wants to get in, they can. But Morty just always gets in.
Well, I saw it when I made the announcement earlier today on one of my social media, or several of my social media outlets. He actually chimed in saying, "I'm calling now."
That's awesome.
To be in. That was an hour before we actually went live.
Yeah, and Rob, I do take vitamin D. I also try to get as much sun as possible living here in Southern California. I'm not fearful of the sun. I probably should be. I actually have a supply of the right meds, which I can't talk about publicly, that I believe will help me if, in fact, something does go down. So, yeah, I mean, and I also would say that genetically, I would say that, okay, my chronological age is old. That's what it says on my birth certificate. It just says, on my driver's license, it says old now. There's no birth date. Just says old.
Just says old.
Old. But
old MF.
But with that said, I think biologically I might be, I'm not on any medication besides finasteride or any, drugs that I choose to take for fun. And everything seems to be working fine, blood pressure and all the high risk factors. So you may be right, Rob. But you know what? I don't feel the need to take an unnecessary risk just to go and get loaded someplace or to have a steak dinner right now. I mean, how do you feel about that, Joe? I mean, Vancouver's doing a little better.
Yeah, we're doing better, and I've been I'm on the road every night because I go pick up the wife, and for the first, well, I can't say for the first, but for the past several months, up until maybe a month ago, we were doing I was doing once a week grocery run, and stocking up on meat and everything we could cook in house. But about a month ago, I started doing takeout because we're just so tired of cooking.
Yeah,
it's so much better than takeout, but just can't handle it anymore.
I do take it all the time.
Got to have a break from it.
I do take it all the time.
And
I was at the supermarket yesterday. I'm all masked up, whatever.
Wrapped up in your Bubble Boy suit, but yeah, I mean, for Valentine's, we made reservations at a local restaurant that we'd like, and we're going out. We've probably been out 3 times to dinner since all this craziness started. But there is, yeah, I mean, there's. I feel that it's not that serious as far as going to restaurants. I think that as long as people are kind of keeping their distance, then it's okay. But even then, it's it's in the back of my head.
Well, I don't have the interest in actually being served by somebody. It's different when someone's making the food and then, I get it, I pick it up, I wipe down the packaging, whatever it is. But constantly people serving you or asking you if you want more drinks, touching your glasses, all that stuff. That's where I have the issue, But I'm not saying people shouldn't go to restaurants. I mean, sadly, everything's going to be. So many restaurants here in LA will never reopen. New York is a effing ghost town.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, let everybody else go, because I'm not going anywhere. 888-659-3727. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Yeah, what's up, guys? It's Rolandos from UK.
Hey, man. How are you?
Hey, Rolandos. What's up, buddy?
Yeah, I'm really good. First of all, Spencer, great hair, to be honest.
Oh, no,
I wish I could have had the same.
I appreciate that. And yeah, listen, I get shit all the time, my entire career. Either it's a comb over, it's a piece, it's a bad hair transplant, whatever it is. You know what? It's just it's a bad paint job. That's what it is. Sometimes it's good. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, it looks amazing, to be honest. Like, you can pull it off really well. And Joe, I'm waiting for my paycheck from you, actually. Today I found out that I'm apparently working for you.
Oh no! Is that like a new conspiracy theory?
Yeah, apparently.
All right.
It's so funny. This industry.
Checks in the mail, man.
It's crazy.
What, the industry?
Yeah. No, let me tell you a story. Funny story. So, I got a phone call from one person that is working for one of the clinics, and they apparently didn't like one of my comments I did online.
Oh, no.
Welcome to the club, my friend. Welcome. Come on in. The water's fine. And if you believe it, I got some beachfront property to sell you.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, I bet you're getting like on a daily basis. Anyways, the point being, I've been talking to a couple of guys recently that have been telling me this kind of stories. Like, as soon as they say something negative about the place they went to, they get the phone calls right away. Like from the clinics threatening with lawsuits and whatnot. And it's crazy. Like, there is literally no free speech even online.
Well,
I can't really believe it, to be honest.
I can tell you this, that it's not about free speech necessarily. It's about, well, I guess there is a free speech issue to it, but this is how I feel.
Yeah.
If you want to tell your story in this world online, especially with your experience with a bad hair transplant, how is the clinic really going to know it's you unless you provide certain details? You know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing. People are putting pictures so they can, see.
Well, here's what.
Otherwise, nobody online gonna trust you.
Yeah, and well, here's what I suggest.
Yeah.
And this is the way we run Bald Truth Talk, and that's why there's not a lot of people who are commenting on people's images, stuff like that. If someone complains on our forum, and that's why, again, it's very moderated. Someone complains on our forum about a physician, they just have to prove they're a patient. If they prove they're a patient, then and they're not stating anything that's not true, and they just completely state the facts, the physicians and the clinics don't have a leg to stand on as far as even threatening them, for a lawsuit. Now, the problem is, if a clinic wants to just throw a paper at somebody, they can. They may not win a lawsuit, but they can throw as much paper at these people as possible. And it is a deterrent, and it does sometimes, cause people a lot of emotional harm as well. I think the whole thing is fucked up, to tell you the truth. I think the whole way of people communicating online now, not being able to communicate online, like you said, talking about cosmetic surgery on the internet can cause a lot of problems. If that makes any sense.
I'm curious how. So you're speaking about a clinic that that you just don't like, or they had a result that you didn't think was very good. Like what happened?
Oh no! In this particular station, I didn't say something super bad. I just said that the service that this particular person is giving out, it's not 100% necessary, for people to get the transplant. So he's like an intermediary, for the clinic. You can go directly to them, and that's it. And they apparently didn't like it. Like, we are actually giving value. We are answering questions, and stuff like that. So, it's fine. I don't mind. But like getting 5 phone calls, and it feels weird.
Well, let me tell you this. I've been doing this for 23 years, and I have been threatened, cajoled. I have had people despise me, and I've put people out of business, and that's just the truth. And I only had to go after one person through legal means, just as an example. And I prevailed in the largest anti-defamation case in the state of California in a situation like this, in Los Angeles County. And this guy's no longer practicing hair transplant surgery. But the point is, people believe that they have the right to do this, and they do think that, threatening a guy like you is going to work. Now, it really depends on what your threshold is, how much you can deal with. You know, if you can deal with it, then great. You can keep doing what you're doing. But if you think it's going to affect you in some way, emotionally or financially, then you have to consider how you choose and what language you choose to use online.
Well, yeah, I agree. I mean, for me, it was not like a direct threat. He said, like, listen, I don't want to make a beef or something. It just, you know, maybe we can discuss this issue and, you know, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, it's not really about me. I'm just, like, really surprised how bad it can get. One guy told me that he cannot so he's an Indian. He cannot go back to his country because as soon as he is going back, there is a lawsuit against him. From one clinic that he went to that he apparently, you know, got very bad transplant done. Like, stories like that kind of, you know, not fun to hear, basically.
Well, you know, you're hitting this industry at a time where I can tell you that things are worse than ever. As bad as they were in 1998 when I got into the field, and they were bad, it was much smaller. So it was just a small group of people fucking people up. Now it's a much larger group of people who are getting fucked up by a much larger group of people who are willing to fuck people up. So it is a seriously dangerous place. And the more you get involved, Rolandus, the more you're out there and the more you're giving advice, the more shit you're going to have to deal with. And you're going to have to make a lot of decisions on what direction you're going to go in, how you're going to help people.
I'm curious how this person. You said he called you. Was he able to get your number somehow?
Well, that was the interesting part because at the beginning of my research a couple of years ago, I contacted them as well when I was doing my research, you know, for the assessment and everything. And then obviously I learned more. I decided that no, they're not the best choice for me, and that's how they've got my number. So it was surprising that so many people are actually, you know, look, actually like they following me. They following every step I'm doing online, which is kind of crazy to be honest.
You know, I'm going to be candid, and I don't spend a lot of time watching other people online, and I probably should because I'm in this field. So I'm going to ask Joe. I mean, you can tell me how to find you too. This sounds totally naive because I should know this. But I want to watch some of your stuff, and you know, I want to kind of see what you're doing as well.
Just type in Mr. Rolandus.
That's pretty. You know, for you got to realize that I have the mindset of an old man. I don't even think that way, but yeah, that makes sense. But
yeah,
I
that's
think
the name of his channel.
There are few people who are out there doing what you're doing or doing what we do that really get it. I believe that most people, sadly, may get it to some degree, but they are looking for ways to make a buck, which there's nothing wrong with that. You have to choose the right way to make that buck, you know? Mm-hmm. And this guy now, and he's on, I see these Facebook ads. He's walking around with his laser helmet, and I see all the comments on this ad, and I have to laugh, like, how does this company, how do they not see what the general population thinks about this type of ad on Facebook?
I know. What was the one that you sent me a screenshot of one? I forgot what the guy said. He said,
I sent you a screenshot?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. His joke was people saw me walking around with this helmet thing on my head, and they were asking me if I was lost.
No. Oh, I remember. They said they were asking if I needed help, and they were speaking they were trying to be extremely. They were enunciating their words and speaking to me loudly. And I said, "No, I grow hair," and they just smiled and went on. You know, and that's the general consensus when you see ads like it. Now, what's interesting is a lot of those ads will cut through because we're so vulnerable and we're so desperate, but. Rolandus, I don't know what your situation is, except that you're a caller of the show, and you've been a fan, and you seem like a really great guy. But no matter what you choose to do, choose wisely as far as how you pursue this. Because
of course, yeah. I mean, I've been contacted like through a couple of like companies already. They reach out to me saying like, listen, we like your channel. We would like you to sell our product, you know, and like they're trying to plug in some, you know, snake oil bullshit that, you know, doesn't work basically. So, you know, obviously I'm not going to be standing behind it. So there's just so much crap out there. It's crazy.
Well, and I
look,
appreciate you saying that.
I think there's nothing wrong with doing that as long as you're honest. Like I'll just share a quick story. I was approached by one of these laser helmet companies, and they wanted to know what it would cost, or not what it would cost, but they wanted to make an offer to work with me. This is early on in my growing my channel, and I told them what it would cost, and they said, well, no, we were going to give you a coupon, a discount coupon to give to your users, and you get 10% of the sale. So basically, for every laser helmet that's sold through that coupon, I get $50. Not bad. Like it's not bad if you sell a few hundred a month. That's pretty good. That's pretty good coin. But the problem is I got to be honest about how I feel about the product, and not make any claims or anything like that. And they weren't down with that. They wanted nothing to do with it. I had to toe the company line.
And I'll tell you an even more sad and ridiculous story that makes my father turn over in his grave all the time, I'm sure, when I tell it. And he was pretty weirded out when I told him. He was alive when this happened. I was offered, and we're talking about in the early 2000s, $500,000 a year just for a company to use my trademark. I didn't have to say, hey, I didn't have to walk around wearing some shit or rubbing some shit in my head or whatever. And I stupidly turned that down. Now, for the long game, it wasn't stupid, because that may have only lasted 2 or 3 years getting that money in. It probably wouldn't have lasted in perpetuity. Maybe it would have. I don't know. Maybe I am an idiot. But that's a story that I tell, and I'm not going to even say what the company is. And it's not to say that I'm completely altruistic. I was looking at it from a business standpoint and the long game. I didn't believe in the product at the time, and I thought they would cut off my long game, which it may have, it may not have. But those are things that you have to think about too, because you are becoming obviously more popular. And it's one thing to just try to do the right thing, but you also want to think about your longevity, because if you're able to maintain your longevity, you're going to end up helping more people. So sometimes it's better not to take the short gain and to think about the long game, because in the industry that we're in, everyone who has a chance to see us is being helped, and that's pretty important.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, Spencer, you asked about my channel. I'm not really posting anything crazy in there. I'm just, documenting my hair transplant journey. I'm just talking whatever I'm using in terms of, preventative treatments or whatnot, basically my opinion about, everything, how I'm doing my research. It's more so coming from places like forums where I'm getting in touch with people. That's
I see.
That's where the problem is, because I'm, getting
Well, that's why you got to stay off the fucking forums.
Yeah, I guess, that's the best place to do. The problem is I'm getting flooded with messages,
Yeah. Well, listen, the more popular you get, the more it's going to be it's going to be. And the thing is, what you're doing today is essentially Joe was the OG with that. Joe, before anyone was talking about their hair transplant or documenting their hair transplant, before there were influencers, before there was YouTube, before any of this stuff, Joe had this crazy idea and this crazy website where he was documenting his hair transplant. And that freaked out doctors, that freaked out patients. Everyone was just like, holy shit, I cannot believe this.
And it freaked out my own doctor.
Yeah.
Dr. Wong was like, what the hell's he doing?
Yeah. And Joe was the one that everyone was reaching out to. So this is I'm not saying it's a new phenomenon. It's definitely not a new phenomenon, but there is a phenomenon now where there's such easy access, and people see. How old are you, by the way? You're young, right?
I'm 29.
Okay. So they want to relate to people your age. You're putting your experiences out there. They want to relate to people your age, and that's a lot of pressure. I'm sure there's times when you try to give people advice that, you have to realize they're really listening to, and they're hanging on every word that you say, and the things that you say will affect their lives. You will have a long-lasting effect on the lives of people who watch your shit or that you speak with.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm like I'm very careful what I'm suggesting. If someone is like coming to me, like I would never just tell like, yeah, just man, whatever, just do it. Like because so many people are like listen, just go for it, do it. It's fine. You're gonna be okay. Like no, man. There's so many people.
And the number one advice I can give you, as far as growing your channel, but just being in the public eye, or being public about your experience and what you're doing, is always be brutally honest. Like, don't let there be any room for misinterpretation with your opinion based on the information that you have. Because if you do that, then there's nothing, you got nothing to worry about 5 years from now. Because
oh yeah, of course.
Like I've had people come at me and say, well, you said this, at one point, and it's like, well, no, I didn't say that, because you're not keeping in the context of the time, and I changed my mind on it, and I've talked about how I've changed my mind on it, and like all these different angles people try to come at you. As long as you're honest about it, they got nothing.
Well, here's the thing: they may have
the
nothing, and I think this is also important for a young guy who's getting involved in this in any capacity. If you become big enough in your world, there will be people, even if you have done the right thing, even if you have protected yourself, even if you have tried to be as honest as possible, or were as honest as possible, and changed your mind and explain the history of and the evolution of your thought process, there will be people who will make up complete lies about you if they think you're affecting their business. If you come between a guy and his money, you got to be careful out there, man. And that's just the reality.
Yeah, that's happening already right now. Like, I'm really surprised. Some clinics from India reach out to me. It's like, we don't like this and that, what you said.
Dude, I am battling constantly with an organization that's supposed to be the authority in this field, because my work for the last 23 years has gotten between many of their board directors. It gets between these people and their money, even if they claim to be a nonprofit organization. That's the reality of telling the truth. So just be, protect yourself as best as you can. Just be as honest as you can, and you have to just live with whatever your decisions are. This is a tough fucking place to be. That's all I'm going to tell you. This is not. This is not for the faint of heart. You got to be a fighter, and you got to be willing to take a lot of shit to become successful in any. And I'm not even talking about financially successful. I'm talking about just maintaining your presence and continuing on the process. So, and you sound like you're a strong guy.
I feel like this conversation steered away a little bit too much. Anyways, I just wanted to say, thank you guys for doing what you're doing. Because to be honest, I found my doctor through you. If you remember, I called into the show more than a year ago, actually. I think it was 2 years. And I asked, actually. And that was my tipping point when I chose him. So yeah, and I'm absolutely happy. Like a couple of days ago was my 1 year mark after my surgery. I'm absolutely happy with my results.
Mazel tov.
Planning for a second one. So yeah, it's really life-changing.
Well, I'm absolutely thrilled that you had such a good experience. I don't even know who is your doctor.
He went to Bruno.
Dr. Ferreira.
Oh, he's a good guy too, man. He's a good guy, and he really is a hard worker, Bruno.
Yeah, indeed. He's doing everything by himself, and now he's apparently been flooded, so it takes ages to reply to emails, which is not great.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
Well, that's the cost of success.
That is, and we can send him this clip so that he recognizes that he's got to answer your emails.
Oh yeah, I mean, don't.
All right, man. Listen,
I'm sure he is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate the guys.
Yeah, no, he's a good guy. He's very good at what he does, and he's caring. Well, he's young. He's got the energy to do it right, and that's pretty important. A lot of people don't recognize how difficult this procedure is. And sometimes when you're going to someone who's 65 years old, who's not in good shape, you got to think to yourself, am I making the right choice here?
That's right.
All right, dude.
Yep.
Rolando, you take care.
Thanks so much, guys.
Okay, bye-bye.
Appreciate your time.
Thanks for calling, buddy.
Bye.
That's not to say that the guys who are 65 years old who are still practicing are not people you should go to, but you've got to realize that this is a labor-intensive, procedure. So they better have a good team.
Of course. And speaking of a good team, we got 73 people watching right now, and the team isn't pitching in with the likes. We got 32 likes. Hit the like button, people. If you're not a subscriber, if you just kind of stumble across this show while you're perusing the YouTubes, do us a favor, subscribe. And when you subscribe, click the bell. And then when you click the bell, make sure you enable all notifications so you get notified of every episode of The Bald Truth, because it's worth it. And we appreciate the support.
888-659-3727. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hello?
Yes, hi.
Hello.
It's Joe from Virginia.
Joe from Virginia.
Hello,
How
Joe.
are you, man?
Oh, hey. So, yeah, I guess I should probably start with my age and medication. Basically, 22. Noticed some diffuse thinning on my crown, and I have a normal 2 hairline at 21. And I've been on Avodart for about a year. And I just want to, ask you guys some questions about possible treatments and whatnot.
I have a question for you. What made you start with Avodart as opposed to finasteride?
Stronger.
Just because it's stronger?
Yeah.
Okay. How are you doing on the medication?
I'm maintaining, but I haven't gotten any new growth. I actually just started minoxidil and RU.
I'm going to ask you a question, and this is for everyone. This is for everyone's sake. How does anyone know that they're getting RU58841 when it's not really being manufactured?
Oh God, don't, man. And I've heard, basically from some people that they tested it, the purity actually is not all there. It's only 50% or something like that.
Not all there. You don't know what you get. This is a
You have
drug
no idea.
that has not that the drug company that was testing it stopped testing it, and whatever the chemical compound is, the molecular compound is being manufactured in a gray market way. And then people have to actually mix it. It's being sold through almost the underground.
Yeah.
And this is not, I'm not trying to scold you by any means. I'm just saying this is really for other people who are listening. For the life of me, I can't understand why anybody would take the risk to buy some gray market shit for anything and put this shit on your body.
For the hair, Spencer? Basically, I just want to stack an anti-androgen with the 5-alpha reductase inhibitor to get the best results. And I know they have the CB0301 that's in the pipeline and whatnot for FDA approval and whatnot. But what is it? For me, at least, that's going to be prohibitively expensive, even once it comes out. I've got the minoxidil too, so hopefully, in conjunction, that will do something. But
here's my question. So you're on dutasteride. Are you? You're currently maintaining on dutasteride, right?
Yeah, I think so, but it's hard to tell. I don't, down the road, I don't want it to get thinner or whatever.
Okay, but that's the thing. It's down the road. And I understand. One thing about hair loss is we're worried about the future because it's a progressive disease. But what a lot of people don't, especially younger guys, they don't appreciate is where they may have been if they didn't start using they didn't start treatment. So if you don't see things actually getting worse, if you're not seeing a lot of hair in the shower, or when you comb your hair, or when you blow dry, or whatever it is, and things seem to be maintaining, that means there's a good chance what you're doing right now is working. And the more you fuck with that, the greater chance of you losing.
100%.
Yeah.
My question to you, sorry, I need you to clarify. You were saying something's in the middle of FDA approval. I didn't hear what it was you were talking about.
CB0301 clascoterone. Basically, but the thing with clascoterone, first of all, it's 40 times weaker than RU. So basically, the binding affinity for the androgen receptor, which is what's on the hair follicle that the DHT binds to, that blocks the nutrients, and the hair falls out.
Are you a chemist or a doctor? Out of curiosity.
What's up?
Are you a chemist, like a pharmacist or a doctor?
No, I'm not. I'm just someone losing their hair.
But are
Okay,
so
so-
are you on any of the bro science boards?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Well, I mean, bro science, PubMed research, stuff like that. Whatever's online that I can find, I'll read it up.
I'm telling you, man, it's like 25 years ago all over. It's like alt dot bald spot. And you know what? They're talking about the same, for the most part, the same stuff. There's some newer
Yeah, I
stuff
would
they're talking
imagine.
about.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
pretty straightforward, I guess.
I'm just curious. Like you said that you'll never be able to afford the product you were talking about that's an FDA review. How do you know you won't be able to afford it? Where are you getting your information on the cost?
Well, basically, I mean, I don't have like definitive information on the cost, but basically it's not going to be available as a generic, so you're going to have to get the name brand. And I'm also going to need enough of it because I'm kind of a diffuse thinner and whatnot. Like there's not really like a bald spot. It's more like just throughout the top of the head. You can tell it's like kind of thinner than on, the back and the sides and whatnot. But basically I would need like at least like 6 milliliters of it. The prescribed dose is like probably like 1-2 milliliters for 1 month, per day for a 1 month supply. So it'd be like probably like 30 to 60 milliliters. And, I just need a lot more than that. So I'd wind up buying like 3 bottles of it at whatever the price for the name brand is. And even after that, like,
but how do you know how much you need? What is that? What is any of that based on?
It's just based on like the size of my scalp and just trying to cover all of it. Like with minoxidil, I mean, I know it's prescribed at like 1 to 2 milliliters or something like that, but I probably use at least like 6, 7, maybe 8 milliliters to cover my whole scalp.
I'm just gonna have to say, listen, this, and again, I totally get it. I've built my entire life around my hair loss. My career, everything that I do is based on being a 21-year-old kid who's dealing with hair loss. So I went through it all back in the day, and also read about, and during the time RU58401 was actually being studied by Rousseau Pharmaceuticals, and used every agent known to man that was being sold online by every doctor, even the Proctor stuff, which I think is still out there, and all the stuff that people are using today, currently, that you read about on Reddit, a lot of it, or some of it, I should say, at least half of it was being used 25 years ago. And in the end, no one has truly been helped by any of it in the long term. What you are doing for yourself right now is working. And at least we know that there's clinical data showing that it works. Even though dutasteride is not approved for this application, we know that it works for people who are dealing with androgenetic alopecia. It's great to be prepared, but it just seems to me that you're not enjoying what you have right now, which is a lot. You basically stopped your hair loss. You can actually live your life without even thinking about it if you wanted to, and realize that you're doing the best that you can right now. And then if the other shoe drops, at least you're prepared. You're reading about it. But I have to ask you this question, and this may sound pointed, but how much time in a day do you spend researching this online?
Not a lot anymore. I mean, I've kind of like done all the research that I really feel like I can do and whatnot.
Okay. All right.
Move on.
Then I would say move on. We can't give you any definitive answers about these agents that may or may not be coming down the pike, that may or may not be approved.
Oh, I have another question or whatever related to like another drug that's not approved.
Sure.
It's about the exosome. So basically, I have a consultation with Dr. McGrath, and what is it? I want to see if I'm basically a good candidate to get the exosome injection, because I mean, I'm kind of a diffuse thinner, like I'm not like bald or anything like that. So even on the bald guy or whatever, I saw that he actually grew like when they injected a dude that really didn't have much hair, he actually managed to get some pretty good growth from it. So I'm just curious, like what. I mean, I know obviously it's not like an approved drug or anything like that, but what could I expect from something like that?
It really depends. I think that Dan McGrath uses a company that provides a good, safe exosome product, but you have to understand that every batch, the one thing that I would always ask is, I would never want to be the first person to use a delivery or a batch that was delivered to the doctor's office. So
Don't want to be a guinea pig.
you want to make sure that that case was opened and used on somebody else before you have it done.
Right on. I'll be sure to ask.
Yeah,
And
but you're definitely going to be a candidate. I can guarantee that they're going to say that you're a candidate because, there's very few people who are not considered candidates for this experimental treatment. With that said, I've also known people who have had it done using this particular company, and they've had good results. I mean, reasonable, meaning that their telogen effluvium, some went through a telogen effluvium, but things slowed down, things reversed. But we don't know how long-lasting it is, and if it's going to be of real value to you financially. I mean, if you have enough, if you're telling me that you can't afford a drug that's not even on the market yet, this is something that you're going to have to do on a regular basis if you think it works. Now, you're going to also confuse your situation because if you're doing well on dutasteride and you decide to get exosomes for $1,500 or for $3,000 or whatever it is, and
I want the 10 cc's.
And you're like, oh my God, this is I think this is working for me, but you're not sure if it's that or the dutasteride. You're going to have to keep up with that emotionally, at the very least. You're going to keep spending that money.
Yeah, you are right about the cost and whatnot. What is it? It's just that I'm thinking hopefully I can get the exosomes done and then basically just maintain it, repair whatever damage, has been done to my hair or whatever, and then kind of maintain that with the other treatment and whatnot.
Yeah, but you can end up doing great. Right now you are in a normal hair growth cycle, normal growth, resting, and shedding cycle, and you can then have an exosome treatment, and it can shoot you directly into a synchronized telogen effluvium. And then you're fucked. To me, unless you are actively shedding and seeing a change in your hair, do not do anything. That's just my advice. I'm not a doctor.
That's what I was waiting. I was waiting for a moment to jump in to say. There's no reason to spend you said that you've kind of cut back on your research because you've researched all you can. Good, because nothing that's come out nothing that hasn't come out is going to do a damn bit of good for you now. And I think that because you've said that you've stabilized your loss, then enjoy it, move on, and just keep doing what you're doing, and keep your ear to the ground every few months, just to see if there is something new that has come out, that has been released, does have demonstrable results out in the wild with users, not with clinical studies, and consider adding that to your regimen at some point, maybe a year later, to make sure that it gets fleshed out once it's released out in the wild. I've been doing this I've been a patient since 1992, a surgical patient, and I wasn't. I didn't pay attention to alt.baldspot and all the message boards back in the 90s.
I was getting a hate because man on those boards.
I was never one to spend time researching things that are not available, that can't do anything for me, because, and I'm still that way. I know there's some guys out there that live by this stuff on a daily basis. I don't pay attention to it. I get asked about it all the time. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? So, FDA says it this, and I don't. Not only do I not know, I don't care, because it doesn't affect me. No matter what I want to do with it, I can't touch it. I can't try it. I can't use it. There's nothing for me. I concentrate on the here and now, what's available to me now, what's available to my subscribers now, and what I know works based on years of experience. Like dutasteride, I remember when it first came out for hair, or not for hair loss, but when it was first being prescribed for hair loss, I worked for one of the first clinics to ever prescribe it for hair loss. Back in, I think it was 2004 or 5. I don't remember the exact year.
It was actually 2001. 2000 when it was really just about to be approved, and I think it was approved.
But it wasn't really prescribed by hair loss practitioners until maybe a couple years later, or at least not when the floodgates opened when my clinic did it. And man, we got so much shit for that. I'll never forget. Like we got so many calls, people interested, but then so much shit for prescribing a non-approved drug for off-label use for hair loss.
I mean, it got approved for the prostate issue.
It got approved, I think, in 2000 for benign prostate hyperplasia.
Yeah,
you can't say right out of the bat that it was safe, because there were studies that came out later on that put some question marks on it. Kind of like with Propecia. Like after years and years of Propecia, you got people saying that they've done studies and it's kind of conflicting information. Same thing happened with dutasteride.
There was a story that just came out this week about some documentation that was not necessarily shared by Merck and Company about finasteride. Now, when you look at the numbers, it's still very small. But I think you're right about dutasteride. First of all, that's why I asked why this guy jumped to dutasteride before even finasteride, because dutasteride has a much longer half-life. If you're going to have adverse side effects, there's no doubt they will last longer if you're on the drug than if you start with finasteride. But Joe, everything you're saying is absolutely right, and I think what's important is this is just an example of it. No matter what the generation is, it's the same shit every generation. Everybody, and they're reading. Now there's more places for these kids to read this information. But if it ain't broke, don't fix it, dude. And I'm telling you, most people who go down the route that you're going down as far as trying to figure out what they need to do next while they're in a good place, they fuck themselves up. I've been doing it. I have spoken to, and this is no exaggeration, 23 years doing a show, tens of thousands of callers. And every single person who pushed the envelope fucked themselves up.
Yep.
Yeah. The other thing that I'm interested about with the exosomes is, I mean, I know maybe this is vain and stupid, but I do my hairline's kind of like a Norwood, maybe like a Norwood 2 right now. And I would like to bring it down just a little bit, especially the widow's peak or whatever, the anterior point.
All right, so look, man, I gotta hang up on you now.
Oh, okay.
I'm just kidding. Dude, come on. You got to appreciate. I know it's tough when you're 22, but if you could really look at yourself in the mirror right now. When you look at yourself currently, do you feel like if I could stay this way for the rest of my life, I would be happy? Is that the way that I mean?
I'd want it to be better.
You want it to be better?
Yeah.
Okay, but right now, currently, as you look right now, do you think that your looks have changed dramatically, and can you live your life this way?
I mean, I could, but if it can be better, I want it to be better. That's kind of the thing.
You know what? I would love to be 6'4" and be able to do porn, but that's never going to happen. You know?
I don't know. But, well, I mean, it's COVID lockdown. People, entrepreneurs are, jumping up everywhere and making shit happen.
That's true.
I think that the best way to look at this is to ask you one question, Joe. If you were to have your hairline lowered, great name, by the way. If you were to have your hairline lowered because you feel like it should be, what would you do if it didn't turn out the way that you wanted it to? Bad growth, pluggy appearance, misdirected grafts and placement. How would you deal with that? And I ask you that because you're so into researching these medical options that haven't come out yet. It tells me a little bit about your mindset. So I'm curious. I have an idea of what the answer is, but if you can expound on how you think you would react if you woke up one day and saw those grafts coming through and it didn't look like what you want it to look like, how would you react?
I mean, it'd be rough, but I mean, I think it's a risk that I'm worth taking just to, get that improvement and whatnot. But definitely, if that did happen, I would go down the road of trying to repair it and whatnot.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
Dave,
and that's the
Dave,
problem.
Keep listening to the show. Really take the time to listen. Listen to other people who are calling in. You are in a mindset, and this is not to be critical, but it's when I was younger, and my parents, everyone would always say that what, you're too young to understand. You will find out when you get older. Because when we're young, when we're your age, we think we're invincible and we think that we're right. And you know what? In most cases, we're not. Well, we're definitely not invincible. But in most cases, we can learn a lot more. And I promise you, in 10 years from now, if you decide to get a hair transplant, 10 years from now, you would look back at your life and say, I really fucked up the last decade of my life.
Oh, it's not like I'm not getting a hair transplant. Like the hair transplant would be like 5-10 years in the future. It's not like I'm gonna go right ahead and get a hair transplant or something like that. I'm pretty okay with the way that I look right now and whatnot. But I mean, in the future, I would want to. I just don't have a problem with cosmetic surgery and stuff like that. Like I'd be cool with it.
Well, I have no problem with cosmetic surgery either, except this is one cosmetic surgery that is the most difficult and nuanced cosmetic surgery that exists, and everyone just thinks they can get it done and have like a great hairline, or they can improve their appearance significantly. In most cases, and this is the truth, this is the one form of cosmetic surgery that in most cases, at least in today's market, it will fail. Now, if you go to the right doctor, the right clinic, and you luck out and everything goes well, you have a greater chance of it being a success. But given the numbers and the volume of hair transplants being performed, most of them suck today. Most people are unhappy.
Yep.
So, we're just trying to give you a little bit of insight so that you understand that I understand your thought process. To me, it makes sense because I had the same thought process when I was 21 and 22 years old. I was lucky enough to be able to step back and not fuck myself up. Whether it was surgical or even taking certain medications, doing things, the inappropriate way, doing all the gray market stuff, and just learn to be satisfied with what I was able to maintain. I just think that you've already going down a route where you're taking one of the strongest drugs in this game for hair loss currently. So, and you're doing well with it. You're lucky. Enjoy it and just try to live this. You know what? Take 6 months off of this process of doing research and learning and thinking about it and see where you are in 6 months.
Okay. But yeah, the other thing with the exosomes is because I am interested in having a hair.
He's not even listening. He just wants his questions answered. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Is that like it really does seem to like work in terms of like repairing like the hair and whatnot, and the donor hair especially. Like what they've seen is like the donor hair is like a lot stronger. So if I do decide that I want to get a hair transplant and stuff like that down the road, it's going to be the best results if I do the exosomes and whatnot to like.
You're already on. You're already on dutasteride. I mean, the drug.
Yeah, you're already on dutasteride.
Is already, if it's working for you, it's already slowed or stopped the miniaturization process. Your donor hair is probably stronger than it would have been without it.
It's not that good though. Like all of my hair is kind of like it's like that like finer like wispier kind of hair. Not like miniaturized hair, but like it's just like the hair strands are like kind of thinner and whatnot.
Yeah, so if that's your natural hair strands, and then the exosomes or dutasteride, they're not going to improve your hair shaft diameter if that is the way your hair has always been.
Okay.
Let me ask you this: Do you have a lot? Like what kind of diet do you have? What's your normal intake on a regular basis? What do you eat? What do you drink?
I mean, I eat a lot. It's not like super unhealthy or super healthy. I guess somewhere in the middle.
Okay, so you're unhealthy. You don't really watch what you eat.
Nope.
Is that fair to say? You don't watch what you eat?
I mean, like I don't just binge on junk food all the time. I get like healthy food in there and stuff like that, but I'm not like super health conscious or whatever.
Do you smoke?
Give me an example of healthy food.
Do you smoke cigarettes?
No, I don't smoke cigarettes.
Give me an example. Give me an example of healthy food.
I don't know.
Okay. So here's the thing. Do you work out?
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay, so that's no. All right. So here's the thing. Give this 6 months. Hit the gym hard. Strength training, not bodybuilding and muscle, but just strength training. Do it on a regular basis, like three or four times a week. Eat clean. I mean, really clean. Like, cut out all sugars. Read your labels. Like, if there's something that's being made for you, and any of it's canned, read the labels. Look for high fructose corn syrup or just sugar. If either are listed, get rid of it. Don't eat it. Don't eat any fast food. Don't eat any pizza. Just meat and vegetables. Okay, look at like the caveman diet, and go that route. Call us back in 6 months and tell us about your hair. See if that does something. Because there's I've talked about this in the past. I believe that when you look at sugar, okay, there's do a search on YouTube for The Truth About Sugar. Dr. Listig, I think is his name. Okay, it'll open your eyes, like it'll blow your mind what sugar does to you. And I believe that when we eat regular, like you do or like most people do, sometimes fast food, sometimes the occasional healthy meal, but not watching our actual sugar intake or high fructose corn syrup intake, it creates this low-grade internal inflammation issue because we're not designed to eat that kind of stuff. And and what happens is when you have low-grade internal inflammation, chronic inflammation, excuse me, it can cause a cascading effect where it can cause issues that seem normal to everyone because a lot of people experience them, but they might not actually be normal for you. When I was going through this about 8 years ago, when I first got into strength training, I was hardcore on it. Like, I completely cut out all sugars and carbs. And in the first, I think, 3 months, I lost 25 pounds. I wasn't fat. I wasn't lean, but I was a normal-looking guy. And I lost 25 pounds from that in strength training. But what I noticed, and my personal trainer, he didn't bring this up to me, but I noticed that my hair, including my donor region, felt stronger.
Right on.
It behaved better. My transplanted hair seemed better. Like, everything about my hair was on point. And if you really want to take the energies that you've used in researching these useless endeavors that aren't even available, turn it into this. Redirect it into what you can control. And call us in 6 months.
Guarantee he's got another question.
Oh, can I ask you guys one more? Or am I keeping you too long?
Look at a 5x5 type of workout plan, and you'll be good.
Got you. Will do. Can I ask you guys one more? Or am I keeping you too long?
You are keeping us too long, but go ahead, and then we'll take one more call.
Okay, so I had another consultation with like a local clinic, and I don't know if you guys know who Vikram Jayaprakash is, but basically like the hair loss show and whatnot. And then Dr. McGrath, they basically told me that these guys were frauds or whatever. Like, I mean, I know there are a lot of frauds in hair loss, but those guys seem like very, legitimate, honest people. Like, why would they say that to me?
Well, here's how I feel about this. I don't think any physician should go out there and say somebody else is a fraud. I don't love that idea. But who are you talking about? And we'll let you know what we think.
The clinic, I think it's one in Northern Virginia. I forget the actual name of the clinic. It was just like hair loss clinic or something like that. It had like a very generic kind of name.
And what do they offer?
They offered Borton's jelly, PRP, amniotic fluid, and exosomes.
Okay. Well, what makes them? And I'm not saying that they're not. Well, but what would make them more of a fraud than anyone else who offers any type of cellular treatment for hair loss?
Well, what is it? They said that the other guys weren't like actual surgeons. I don't know who their surgeon is or whatever. I didn't, really look too much into it. I just kind of scheduled the consultation because it was free and I wanted input.
Well, here's the thing. I would say that first of all, you're talking to two doctors, who are well respected in the field, and they could probably read. I don't know who this clinic is that you're talking about. They can probably read into what these guys are offering, or maybe they know the people who are offering it. But I think it's important. And look, this is what I do. I out people for a living. I tell the truth about the industry. But what I also don't love is there are physicians who are offering the exact same treatments as non-physicians or maybe nurse practitioners or people who are legally able to do it, who will claim that the other people are not doing something legally or it's fraudulent, even if they're offering the exact same shit. So you just have to know what you're getting. You have to, and the bottom line is also you have to speak to patients who have had whatever process this is before you move in that direction. I personally believe that you should be going with well-known physicians who have a lot of experience and who have a track record of patients who've undergone these procedures with them that they can introduce you to and you can speak with. But I'm not fast to jump and call any clinic or anybody a fraud in this industry because I have to tell you that 98% of the industry are made up of charlatans.
For sure.
98% are frauds.
Yeah. I don't even like using that word, but they're charlatans. I mean, 98% of the people that are involved in this industry, whether they're physicians or not, in my view, have, done some questionable shit. That's all you need to know. Just be careful.
All right, gotcha.
Be careful and do not jump into anything and just fucking take some time off from this, man. Enjoy the fact that you got your hair. All right?
Yep. All right. Well, I appreciate it. Love you guys.
All right.
Peace. I will call you back in 6 months.
All right, man. Good luck. Take care.
Thanks
for calling, buddy.
Peace.
Good luck.
888-659-3727. I'm surprised that those two doctors would call somebody else a fraud. I mean, it's just, and maybe the people that they're talking about are. I don't know, but I just don't. I mean, all of this stuff is questionable.
I got confused. Who was he saying called who a fraud? Was he saying that Dr. Vic and the other guy were calling this other clinic frauds?
That's what he said.
Or this other clinic was calling Dr. Vic.
And
the other guy
Dr. Vic and Dr. McGrath, according, at least from what I gather from this guy's story, were saying that this other clinic was not reputable. Now that may be the case, but I think
so he talked to two separate clinics, Dr. Vic and Dr. McGrath, because okay, got it.
Now it's very possible that that's true, but I always find that to be just got a bad taste in my mouth if that is true. He may have misconstrued the language. I don't know, because
never know.
Many of the guys that, even these guys who I respect and I like, work with, these guys are questionable. Guys who are board certified are doing seriously questionable shit. There's really no such thing as being board certified. That's why I use air quotes.
Yeah, of course. But he's actually clarifying in the chat room. He says the other clinic called Dr. Vic and McGrath frauds.
Who clarified that?
Joey.
Oh,
I think Joey Spartan in the chat room. Maybe it's him. I would imagine it's him.
Oh, well then that's pretty fucked up because those are two guys who are not frauds.
Exactly.
So that should answer your question about going to this clinic.
And that settles that.
And that settles that. Hold on for a second. Okay. I just got a text from someone who's watching the show that said that they understood it the other way. All right, so I misunderstood it. Either way, it's not good, but it's pretty fucked up that whatever, they're talking about two guys that are actually reputable, for sure. Yeah. So that's pretty screwed up. But for all you reputable doctors out there, I also don't love the idea that the reputable doctors would jump to any conclusions about anybody else either. that make sense, Joe?
It makes a lot of sense, Spencer.
Let's take a phone call.
Let's do it.
Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, Spencer. Hey, Joe. It's Rick from Virginia. How you guys doing?
Hey, man, you sound like you're in a wind tunnel.
Let me see if I got an earpiece in. Let me take it off. See if it'll help. Hold on.
All right.
What did he say his name was? Spence?
Yeah. What was that?
What did he say his name was?
His name was someone, I think Vic from Virginia, but he just hung up. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this?
Hello.
Hey, you're on the air.
With Joe and Spencer.
All right, let's see who this is.
Hello?
Hello.
Oh, there he is.
Oh,
Hello.
sorry. Hi, how's it going?
We're
What's
good.
happening?
What's your
Who's
name?
this?
Where are you calling from?
And where are you calling from? Yeah.
Yeah, my name's Ryan. I'm calling from the UK.
Hey, Ryan, what's happening?
Hello, Ryan.
Hi. I just had a couple of questions about finasteride. If maybe you know the answers or how you can help with that. Basically, I was sort of been wanting to take it for a while. I was taking it for a short while, but then I stopped. And I quite sort of listened to some people, and they said that it was quite like prudent to get like a blood test prior to taking it. So I was just wondering if that was something that you think people should do, or is necessary at all.
Joe?
Sorry, can you back up? So you were taking it and then you stopped taking it? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I noticed that I was having side effects a little bit. I was only taking it for like maybe 2 months.
Right.
And then, they ceased after a few days, and there's no sort of like long-lasting problems. But just listening to like the popular people on YouTube and things like that, a lot of them were sort of saying, maybe it's a good idea to sort of have hormone tests and blood tests done to test certain things like your testosterone levels and estradiol levels.
Spencer, are we going to have to tell people to stop going to YouTube now? Because we tell people don't go to the forums, but now it's like don't go to YouTube.
Just people need to just stop. No one is really being helped out there. When they are doing all of, they think they're doing their due diligence, but sadly they're causing themselves a lot of emotional damage, more confusion.
Yeah. Look, here's the thing. You said something really key that answers your question. You started taking it, you had some side effects, and then they went away. So the question is, why'd you stop if the side effects went away? Because here's the thing.
They went away after I stopped taking it, not during.
Oh, sorry. Okay. All right. I misunderstood. All right.
Yeah.
Back up then. So you stopped taking it, and because of the side effects, how long had you been taking it? Or, sorry, how long have you been experiencing side effects while you were taking it?
So originally I started using it like topically in like October 2020. I think that was for like a couple of months, and then I just didn't like the application. I thought it was messy and a lot of it wasn't utilized because it seemed like it was getting absorbed by the hair and stuff like that. So I decided to just, take it orally. And then I think after about 3 weeks, maybe, I experienced like side effects relating to like ED. But that sort of led me to one of the other questions that I was going to ask is like whether or not that was like a nocebo effect sort of thing. Because you become aware of the side effects just by looking for any positive information. You're sort of inundated with like a plethora of negative links and write-ups.
Oh, that's really possible. But before I continue, let me just clarify. I'm not a doctor. Spencer's not a doctor. But I think we need to back up a little bit because you're originally talking about blood tests and all this. I I've never been one to understand why that's even a thing. It's like you've already started it. So what's it going to tell you? It's like it'll tell you what your T levels are, maybe different hormonal levels. But if you already know you've been affected by the medication, it's not going to tell you anything that will be helpful. Like
I think one of the reasons was, yeah. No, that makes sense. I think one of the ones is because of like gynecomastia, and if you already have sort of like a higher level than normal of estradiol, and then you take something that lowers DHT and by proxy increases testosterone levels because of the reduction in like 5-alpha reductase, then if you elevate those
but if you take a blood test after you've already had side effects, it's not going to tell you if you're going to have worse side effects. It's still not going to tell you anything. And I'm not criticizing that you're considering it or that you're talking about it. It makes sense. Like when you start doing your research on this stuff and people, I mean, it sounds legit. I get it, but I always try to encourage people to take a step back and think through it logically. So you started the medication. We'll just talk about the oral medication. You had a side effect or side effects, plural maybe. And then you start doing your research and you start learning all this stuff, and maybe you should have a blood test. The blood test isn't going to tell you anything that you don't already know. You had side effects, and it's not going to tell you about something that could happen. It's not going to tell you if you're going to get gyno. You know you're going to get gyno by actually getting gyno. Like it starts out with a little bit of tenderness, slight puffiness, early stages. That's when you stop. Or seriously dial back your dosage and intake frequency. But those are general ways to look at it. But I think that in a case like yours, the logical thing to do is if you still want to take a medication to fight DHT and to prevent further hair loss, you got two options. As far as finasteride goes, you can push through on the oral medication and maybe dial back on the intake frequency instead of daily. Like just as an example, instead of you taking it daily, maybe reset and take it once a week for a month. And then if you're fine with that, then take it twice a week for a month. If you're fine with that, take it 3 times a week for a month, and so on and so forth. Find your threshold, right? Find that tipping point where you might feel like it's doing something that you don't want it to. Or go back to the topical and call it a day. Because if you were on it for 2 months and you weren't having side effects as a topical, or at least 3 weeks, like on the oral, then why not stick with that? Just push through with it being, inconvenient, and move on. Like try that.
Yeah.
You got options.
No, I think the reason why I stopped the topical as well is because I was sort of like making it myself, so it wasn't like a formulated compound or anything. It was just sort of like this.
All right, let me ask you this.
I get it.
How old are you? How old are you, man?
I'm 32.
Okay. You're at the age where you're making shit yourself, and I totally get it. Here's the thing. You asked about the nocebo effect.
Yeah.
I can tell you that up until about 2005, and you have to understand that finasteride was approved, I think, in 1992 for benign prostate hyperplasia. There were 0 online reports about the high incidence of adverse side effects, and especially the long-term adverse side effects. Now, according to some recent findings, Merck did receive, at least from what I understand, some complaints, but a very low amount of complaints of long-term adverse side effects, maybe about 34, I think, before 2011, or it could be more than that, but compared to like 700 recently. But the point is, I was on the radio from 1998 till that time, and it was a national radio show. And while some people did call in to express that they had adverse sexual side effects, adverse side effects from finasteride or Propecia, 100% who got off of it had no side effects. And about, I would say, 60 to 70% of those who pushed through it stayed on it, the side effects were transient, even if they started a little later into their usage. After about 2005,
I have heard that.
After about 2005, 2006, shit went crazy online, and everybody was scared shitless about using this drug. And the incidence of reported side effects online, on forums, went through the roof. It was like mass hysteria. And so, do I believe there is a nocebo effect? Do I believe that some of these people suffering with adverse side effects are dealing with psychosomatic side effects? I do. Do I believe that the side effects can occur in reality? I do. But to the numbers that they have been since, I've been in this game for so long, there is no way that this drug affects as many people adversely as we read about. You read about all the negative stuff. Doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. Doesn't mean that this drug can't harm you permanently. It doesn't mean that, just like any other drug on the market that affects your hormones. But that's a good question. Is it the nocebo effect? For you, it might have been. We don't know. I mean, how?
Yeah, I don't think it's kind of everybody. And I've never been on like the Propecia Help forum or anything like that, just because I don't see the point in me reading that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's just sort of like, I guess as soon as you notice anything, it's just instantly in your mind because you are aware that these are the side effects, and then it's kind of like you're just so focused on it at that point.
Well, that's a reality.
Yeah, maybe you're just making it worse for yourself.
That's a reality.
It's quite hard not to do that.
I can tell you this: if young women were really, if it was emphasized when they were provided a prescription for birth control pills, if they knew that a pretty significant percentage of them who decided to take oral contraception, hormonal birth control, have especially if there's a family history of hair loss, could lose their hair or could start that process. I would say that 99.9% of those women would probably make the choice not to take that birth control pill. And that's a reality. There's a causal effect there, I guess my point is anything can cause adverse effects, and things that are prescribed like candy have causal effects that cause adverse effects, that are proven scientifically. Finasteride, unfortunately, while these effects are proven, I think that they've been exacerbated by the online world to a point where it's doing a lot of guys a disservice. They're not giving themselves a chance. And to me, if you've been on the drug for a while and you're experiencing some adverse side effects, staying on it for an extra week or two probably wouldn't cause any long-term damage, but I'm not a doctor. But if you think that it could be psychological to any degree, then you may be doing yourself a disservice if you're still worried about your hair loss by not using it. Does that make sense?
No, yeah, totally, yeah.
I mean, I know that was a long explanation.
I think with the data, though, it's kind of... it's sort of murky waters with the data. I think you referenced it earlier. Like I'd read that article a while back, I think, about Merck and withholding like information that they were forced to release later. And I think they had to change the labeling and stuff on the in the medication too.
But you also have to read those articles. You have to read the articles closely as well, because you have to understand that Reuters or whomever, they are trying to get eyeballs. And
right, they've got their own agenda.
Well, and they do for sure. So if you look at why things may or may not have been withheld, according to the FDA, things don't have to be put on a label unless a certain amount of people actually make a definitive complaint. So it basically, unless there's a significant amount of complaints or they see things clinically, then it's up to the drug company to wait and see. It's not necessarily that they're withholding the information. In some cases, if they don't know that the information actually is truly a causal effect of taking this drug, is it 100% responsible putting I don't know what's going on with my camera. Is it 100% responsible putting this information out there? You know,
I
we
guess
don't, we
not,
don't
no.
know. Hold on, let me switch cameras. This is
Mm.
weird. Jesus. That's better. Yeah, camera one's going on the blink, man.
Looks like it. Yep.
All right, listen, man. I don't know if that helped you. I know I rambled a little bit, but I would say that, you know, yes, to answer your question, your mind is extremely powerful when it comes to this drug and when it comes to sex. And if you're thinking about the side effects, there's a much greater chance of you having those side effects. So if you
I
think,
mean, they were never constant, but it was something that was sort of like ebbing and flowing. I did become aware of it and notice a difference. And it was never anything sort of like horrendous, but I guess it was just sort of like a first experience. So, you know, it did sound the alarms a little bit.
well, and I understand. I'm going to put the camera on Joe, and I'm going to let you talk. Joe, if you have any more to add for this guy, go ahead. I'm going to fix my camera.
No, I just think that
there wasn't.
look, what you've been through and your thought process through this is completely normal, and it's unfortunate because a lot of what you're researching, you're finding this input from people that don't have any sort of experience in the field, and I think that it's tough. It's tough. I'll just say that, and I'm glad that you're able to call the show and ask us because we do have experience. I've been around a long time. Spencer's been around a long time. We know what we're talking about. If we don't know what we're talking about, we're going to tell you, but we do know what we're talking about, and I think that what he was saying about, you know, how the mind messes with you, man, it can really screw, like your own mind can screw you up. You can paralyze yourself thinking about this stuff. I think that, like going back to what you're telling me your routine was, go visit a doctor. Right now it's through video consults is the first way you can get in touch with them, but contact go to IAHRS and find a clinic that's relatively close to you somehow, and talk to them about your issue and see if you can get a legitimate script for at least topical finasteride, and give that a shot. That way it's not going to be as messy. The ones that are out that I'm aware of that I like, actually, they don't make your hair messy. It absorbs topically quite fast, and will be a lot better than what you're making at home.
Oh yeah, I mean, I stopped with that.
Or try the oral.
I didn't feel like it was a very responsible thing to keep doing.
Yeah. Or try the oral, like I was talking about, restart that, but on a once a week basis for a month and work your way up based on how you feel the previous month.
So is there any fluctuations in your sort of hormone levels if you do, if you're taking it on an infrequent basis?
I'm sorry?
Usually it's, a 1 milligram per day sort of thing. So if you're taking it, let's say, 3 times a week, are you getting sort of weird fluctuations in your hormone levels if you do that by not sort of like maintaining a steady medication?
All I can tell you is that I've been doing intermittent therapy for at least 15 years. And there was a time I was only taking one 5 milligram dose once a week. Now I'm up to 1 5 milligram dose of an entire Proscar every 4th day. That's my treatment. Do I have hormonal fluctuations? Cool. I'm not testing them. I don't know, but I sense no changes in anything that I'm aware of.
And not to mention, like, if you were to go in and get a blood test, like you might have 2 different blood tests. You might have fluctuations due to other factors that have nothing to do with the medication. You really have to follow this stuff and go through documentation of your various levels on a consistent basis to see any sort of changes that can be even remotely attributed to any single external factor. So I think that, like Spencer told you his routine, my original routine, as prescribed by my doctor, was 1.25 Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Because I would take a 5 milligram tablet and I cut it into quarters, and no, they weren't exact quarters. So there's another variable to throw into the mix, and it had a positive impact on the crown region of my scalp after 9 months, because I went back in for a touch up or a follow up, and the first thing doctor noticed when he walked in the door, he's like, "Your crown looks better." He never touched my crown with surgery, so that was my original foray into finasteride. And then I've been on dutasteride, I've had PRP, I've tried a lot of different things, but I've always come back to and stuck with only finasteride. Currently, I'm taking 2.5 Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
I don't want to jinx myself, but a few months ago, I was going through a shed, and I hadn't gone through one in a long time. So it doesn't matter how old you are. I'm telling all of you guys this. You still freak the fuck out. You're like, oh, man, okay, man, my time is up. This is it. You know. So I decided to up my dosage. I also added some vitamin D supplementation because I wasn't getting as much sun as I normally got because of the pandemic. And I would say, you know, knock on wood, things kind of got back to normal and, you know, cycled normally again. And I had no adverse side effects. And, you know, so this is the most finasteride I've been on I'd say in the last 10 years. So, you know, look, dude, you are obviously struggling with this. I hear it in your voice as well. And it's the whole thing is frustrating. But, you know, you just kind of have to, I guess you're going to have to figure out, you know, what you're willing, you know, to risk. I mean, do you think that you can get your mind strong enough to realize that, okay, if you do have adverse side effects, maybe I could wait them out a little bit, or maybe they're not real. Or if they are real, if you know that for sure that, okay, I take this medication, this is what's happening to me, then I think, you know, Joe made a good suggestion by using the topical formulation, but not making it yourself, actually getting one prescribed from a physician.
Oh, yeah. I did research one later on, like a proper one.
Okay. All right, man. Well, listen, I wish you the best of luck. Call anytime.
Yeah,
we're here for you, man. All right?
Oh, could I quickly just throw in just one last question?
Oh, man, these guys, it's like Joe from Staten Island. These guys never stop.
They squeeze us for everything.
Okay, real quick.
Go ahead.
I was just wondering if there's anything that you could sort of like take alongside it. Like I heard like zinc was a good sort of like aromatase inhibitor, for example.
Well, it can
just take your vitamins.
But if you want to take zinc, you know, just talk to your doctor about that, because sometimes you could take, you know, depending on the type of zinc, or you could take too much zinc. But yeah, I mean,
okay.
I have just one question. Why are you so concerned about an aromatase inhibitor? Did you ever experience any feeling that you were getting gyno?
I don't think beyond paranoia, but I guess it's probably the one side effect that I was most concerned about.
Okay. Well, it's a very unlikely side effect. It does happen, but it's very rare, and you would feel it before it became permanent.
Yeah, good to know. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, man. Take care. Good luck.
Cheers.
Thanks for calling.
Bye.
Cheers.
Poor Zarian says he wants to hang himself after this call. Joe, we have time for one more call? Guy's been holding on for a long time.
Yeah, okay. All right, we got to make it quick, though.
Oh, good. Joe says okay. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, Spencer. Hey, Joe. It's Rick calling from Virginia. How you doing?
Rick, man, how are you? Much better connection.
Hey, Rick. You sound so much
thanks
better.
I'm glad you guys got me. I tried to call back. My apologies.
That's all right.
Yeah, how you guys doing? All right?
I'm doing okay.
Can't complain.
Awesome.
I can't speak for Joe. He looks good though.
Hey, so I just wanted to call to give you guys a quick update, and especially after that, the caller earlier, the Joe guy, the 22-year-old, that is basically maintaining, stabilizing, and he's trying to fuck with it. So I've been on finasteride now for 2.5 years, and the weirdest, most positive thing happened in the last 6 months. So the first 6 months I was on finasteride, about months 3 to 6, I saw some slight regrowth, almost an immediate, at least, you know, cosmetically to me, cessation of my hair loss. But within month 3 to 6, I did see, and my hair loss was primarily diffusing just in the crown, so very similar to the collar, although my hair's pretty thick everywhere else, not thin, so just crown thinness. So a little bit of thickening in the crown, so it was positive. But then from about month 6 to the 2-year point, nothing. No loss, no gain, holding strong, holding steady though. Still a little thinner in the crown than I would like it to be, but I'm 45, so it looked normal. And I was actually even contemplating calling you guys and bugging you guys about like, hey, what do you guys think about minoxidil or something? I just feel like maybe I could try some sort of growth stimulant, essentially giving you a call to see if what you guys could tell me to allow me to fuck with it. But I didn't. I think I tried to call one time and I couldn't get through. The last 6 months, the hair in my crown has almost completely grown back to the point where, as long as it's like I haven't changed anything else. Trying to think of anything else I've done. Really, nothing else has changed. I've just had a considerable amount of regrowth.
See
from the 2-year point,
and that is a very important piece of information for the 22-year-old and for everyone else who's calling and trying to figure out what they can add or what they can subtract or what they can do, or they've been on finasteride for this amount of time, but they want to up to dutasteride because it's already been a year. And I have known guys who've been on the drug for 15 months, 24 months, and then all of a sudden, boom, for whatever reason, their cycle kicks in and they see full results. You got to give this shit time.
It's all about the cycle.
Yeah. Again, I don't know if it's a telogen, anagen cycle, and I just caught it in a weird way or something, or just really, I can't explain it. But I'm super happy. My Topic bottle is now in the drawer. I haven't taken it out in months.
Really?
And,
that good?
Yeah. I mean, it's literally. Okay. I mean, it's not as thick as like the rest. My hair is very thick and dark everywhere else, and I have kind of like light skin, so it's like the worst contrast scenario you could get. But I keep my hair short, about an inch long on top, and that seems to be about the perfect length where the hair lies down enough to, get a little cross coverage and everything else.
That's
and
great, man.
But 6 months ago I couldn't do that. I mean, literally, again, it's hard to cover the crown.
My hair is multicolored, and some of the darkest parts are like the right side and the top, which is the worst part to be dark, because that's where the real thinness is.
Right.
So, Joe, you have multicolored hair now, right?
Yes, I do.
Like I have like a real white
dark
spot
brown
on the side, and then it's darker like right here, and then the top is dark, and then it's all gray.
I've turned into a calico cat.
Yeah, that's what's happening to me.
My sides are starting to turn a little bit gray, but I cut them short because I'm in the military, so we got to buzz them down. So,
I'm actually noticing like a yellowish tinge on some of the areas of my gray, whereas like some of it's like super white, and some of it has like a yellowish, almost orangey feel. I was like, what the fuck
That's
is
just
happening?
the lenses in your eyes deteriorating. It's not actually looking that way.
Oh, good.
Glaucoma.
And I was worried for a second.
It's just your glaucoma kicking. Yeah, which is fine as long as my hair isn't looking weird, right?
Yeah, whatever.
Ooh, I feel better.
Well, listen, that's a great story,
big
man. I'm really happy for you, and I think that is a really important lesson for everybody. And I mean, we couldn't get. No matter what we were saying to this 22-year-old kid, he was just like, thanks a lot. But what about exosomes?
Yeah, it was hilarious. I was dying laughing just listening to him. Not in a bad way, but just like literally. And at one point you said he's about to ask me another question, and I guess he didn't hear you say it. And he says, I got one more question now. I was just rolling.
Yeah. I mean,
well,
I get it.
He's taking his chance to get his questions in. I get it. It's his opportunity, so he's going to squeeze it for all he can. So,
unfortunately for him, he's going to call back in 2 years or maybe a year from now. He's going to be 24, and he's going to have a really ridiculous hair transplant or something crazy in the front and something weird. He's going to continue to lose in the back, and he's going to be a horror story. That he didn't need to be because he's so amped up on.
Even right now, he says in the chat room, he goes, "My loss isn't noticeable. I'm just worried about losing more."
Oh, okay, great. He's in the chat room. Joe,
I actually meant to ask him about this, if it's noticeable to anyone else. And so that's, that's even more reason to just stick with what works. don't try to fuck with it because there's a chance that it could be noticeable to everyone else, and you don't want that. So I'm looking forward to his call in 6 months if he can follow my guidance on the eating clean for 6 months and doing some strength training. See what that does.
Joey Spartan in the chat room. Yeah, Joey. Yeah, just take your time, listen, and I can't we can't guarantee anything, but I can guarantee that if you fuck with it now, you have a much greater chance of being unhappy than if you do nothing right now.
Yeah, Joe Spartan, I'm telling you, it took 2 years, and all of a sudden it started coming back. So don't do anything, man. That's all I had, guys. I just want to pass that on. So.
Great call, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, great call. Thanks.
Congratulations.
All right. Appreciate it, guys.
Take care.
Out here. Yep.
All right.
See ya.
All right. I'm turning off the phones. Sorry, guys. We are done.
Right on.
TheBaldTruth.com. Archives of this broadcast. International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons, which is IAHRS.org. If you're considering hair transplant surgery, please do your due diligence. IAHRS is a great place to start. BaldTruthTalk.com is our message forum, which is heavily moderated and recently being heavily spammed, which we need to take care of. But it is, I don't even like saying it, but there's a lot of people that go to that forum. I can log on and I can see how many people are on at once. And it's like 2,700 people who are just browsing and reading, and I'm just, no matter how much I tell people to stay off the forums, they're on the forums.
Yeah, they're not listening.
They're not listening. They're not listening. And you know what's funny? I still have doctors who contact us who are like, we'd like to advertise on your forum.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, Jesus. And these are some of these guys are old timers. I'm like, don't you know how this works?
You mean like everyone else that's advertising on the forum?
Yeah. I'm like, don't you know how this fucking works? You have to be an IHS
Go to the forum.
Yeah.
And give me an example of which ad you'd like to take out based on what you see there.
There's no advertising.
There is no advertising.
Forum. The forum is not sponsored by recommended physicians. That's not the way it works. Hate that, man. A lot of confusion. A lot of confusion in this industry.
Yes, there is.
Caused by a small number of
take
people,
advantage
actually.
of it. Yeah.
Hairtransplantmentor.com is Joe Tillman's personal website. Check it out. Check out everything Joe Tillman at hairtransplantmentor.com. Guys who are watching the show through the Guys from Queens Network, Andrew Zarian, the founder, president, and head honcho of that network, was in the chat. He was also trying to call the show for a while. He couldn't get in because we're busy. What was I going to say about Joe? About Andrew? Anyway, check out Guys from Queens. We air the show live on there. Also, everyone who's watching on or listening to us on iTunes Radio, Stitcher Radio, all those other places that GFQ airs this broadcast. Check out Joe Tillman's, and you should subscribe to Joe Tillman's YouTube channel, because that's where you can watch the show as well and comment and hang out and like. That's youtube.com/hairtransplantmentor. Ring the bell, subscribe to Joe's channel. It's been growing in leaps and bounds. We've had a lot of people, I'm looking at Joe's page now, a lot of people viewing the show through Joe's page, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
But we'd like to see those numbers even higher. There should be 1,000 people watching right now on your page, Joe, on your channel.
I cannot disagree with that statement.
And you should have double the likes for the broadcast right now.
Well, we got 53, and I'm thinking I'd like to see 60 before we sign off, or no show next Friday. Because we've had upwards of 90 people at any given second watching. But I want to see this. I think we deserve it, so I'm holding out for that.
I'll tell you, a better way to make that happen would have been to do this earlier and say, you know what, we have 52 likes. We will take one more call if we get 100. Well,
that's true, because if we do get 100, from now, we'll definitely fuck it. We'll take 2 calls.
If we can,
it's climbing.
We'll wait. If we can get 100, I will turn on the phones. If we can get 100 likes, and you can speak to Joe Tillman personally.
Let's see what have we got in the chat room going on.
56.
Yeah. 57. Joey says, I wasn't trying to cut them off, but didn't need them to repeat themselves. Listened to every word. Finna take it to heart. What the hell is finna? That's what the kids are saying now. Instead of I'm going to, it's finna. I'm going to take it to heart. Finna take it to heart.
Finna? What the fuck are you talking about?
My niece was saying that earlier. I saw a Facebook post of her saying that, and Joey Spartan says it too. Finna take it to heart.
Dude,
I don't understand
it's
the
a different
core.
world. You know, when I used to hear my parents say, you know, how things were in the good old days, and we're talking about, you know, my parents were born in the 20s. I had old parents. They lived through the Depression. My father fought in World War II. They lived through war years.
Mm-hmm.
I got to tell you, we're living in pretty fucked up times right now. I remember the good old days. I feel sorry for the kids, for people that actually grew up with the internet, who didn't have the opportunity not to have the internet in their lives.
That's true. That's true. Back in our day, we rolled hard. No helmets when we were riding bikes.
Helmet.
Playing in the dirt. Yeah, it's like a helmet. Like
I grew up in New York City. We had jungle gyms and swings and with no pads. It was concrete underneath. If you fell, you died. That's how it worked.
Yeah.
You know?
Walk it off.
You fell, you might have to wear a helmet for the rest of your life.
I'm telling you, man.
That's how life was. 66 likes. We'll wait a little bit. We get 100 likes.
We'll wait a little bit.
We'll open the phone lines. But that's you know, I was thinking about that when you look. Like, I used to ride my bike, or I'd ride on the handlebars of somebody's bike on like 2nd Avenue with buses and cars. I mean, it was insane what we did.
Yeah, one wrong turn, you're on your side and you get squashed.
Oh my God, didn't make it.
But like,
I used to hang off the back of New York City buses with my roller skates, and these buses were going like 40 miles an hour, and that's how I would get around. What was that?
Yeah, it maybe felt like it, but on the 40 miles an hour pulling a kid around. But
well,
yeah,
they didn't realize they were pulling
like,
a kid around. They were on the street.
Now, do you honestly think that you were being pulled at 40 miles per hour behind a bus?
I can tell you that the bus had to be
skates.
going had to be going at least 25 or 30 miles an hour on the street on 2nd Avenue or 1st Avenue.
Yeah, I give that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But for me, like I wasn't in the city. I was in Florida, and I was building ramps to jump my bikes, and of course, like idiots. It's like, yeah, well, let me lay down. You can jump over me.
Oh, yeah. I did that.
You know? Yeah.
We used to build ramps on park benches.
And...
I never forget my buddy Orhan, who, for some reason, didn't realize that he had to pop a wheelie when he made the jump. He didn't realize he had to pull back on the handlebars in order to glide off.
So he does a face plant.
The ramp. So he basically completely flipped the bike over, did a face plant, and... there was no hospitalization, but he recovered eventually from that. But that's how he lived. Shit was so dangerous, man. When I think about, like, if I had kids today, if I think about what I did as a kid, like climbing over, like, spiked fences.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Jumping elevators.
100%.
You didn't do that. We would open up the elevator doors at buildings in the middle of the floor and jump out.
Yeah.
All
I have done that, actually. Yeah.
It just had to start to move. We would have been crushed to death. And every once in a while, you would hear the story of, like on ABC News, local ABC or WPIX, about some kid in a housing project who was doing that and got crushed to death. And in my mind, it's like, these kids were idiots. They just didn't know how to do it right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we got
the generation today.
We got some extra likes, but we didn't make enough to take more calls.
Yeah. Viewers are dropping, likes have gone up, but it ain't going to reach the magic number. So
okay.
Appreciate so much everyone watching and liking and subscribing. I think a couple new people subscribed, so thank you so much. I hope you click that bell and then all notifications, which is a secondary option, so you can find out when or get notified when we're live again next Friday. So thank you for that.
And by the way, Graham, I would jump elevators with my buddies while we were smoking cigarettes. And we were like 8. You know? So,
Jesus.
Different world, man.
Good times.
All right, guys. Until next time, be strong, God bless, and thank you guys so much for listening. Have a great weekend.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the programme, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be